Hey, Camila, do you see Abendano at all?
If you can hear me, I can't see it because I'm going live on Facebook first.
Okay.
There's a waiting room. I have to let everybody in.
Okay.
Yeah, just be patient, Donnell. Come on now.
This is not me. It's Abendano freaking out.
Yeah, he's here now.
Okay. We got you in, Jorge.
Oh, let me check my cell phone and see if it says it's live on Facebook. Let's see how active it is. Yes.
Charlie, good to see you. Wow, it's been a long time.
It has. How are you, Lori?
Oh, hey.
Good.
We are going to wait 2 more minutes and then we will get started. We are live on Zoom and Wichita District 1 Facebook page.
Perfect. Danielle, are you wearing a suit like that right now?
A suit hoodie.
Avendano, looks like your police report's in the background there.
Don't be jealous of my wall.
I managed to get up this morning and make it on, Charlie, just for you.
Hey, I appreciate it. Good morning.
No problem.
I know Paul Cruz said he was going to be on. And Sergeant Shorbagy he's the only supervisor, but he was going to try.
Cruz is sitting in the waiting room. I just admitted him.
Oh, there he is.
Someone's gonna have to remind me to check the waiting room. I don't like this.
Can you keep Paul muted the whole time? Is that possible?
Oh, y'all got jokes.
Charlie, you're just jealous of my background. You got that 1960s decoration in the back.
Since it's no longer Domestic Violence Awareness Month, but that's okay.
I'll change it just for you.
It's okay, Cruz. He was talking bad about my background too. I think he's just jealous.
There you go.
Okay, Cruz. All right, good morning. We're going to get started with the Wichita District 1 virtual breakfast discussion. And we have Council Member Brandon Johnson on Zoom and staff from the Wichita Police Department, who I will introduce individually. I'm just gonna have Councilmember Johnson do a welcome and then I'll get started with our panel discussion.
Awesome. Thank you, Camila. Good morning, everyone. Glad to have you all tuned in. We've got some wonderful folks that are going to talk to us from the police department this morning. So looking forward to hearing from them. And since we have so many, I'll be quiet and we can go from there.
All right. Okay, Councilmember Johnson, your job will be Camila, check the waiting room. Text me, okay?
I got you.
Yeah. Um, okay, so we invited Wichita Police Department liaisons to come and share their different roles, duties, and how they support different community aspects that the public may not be aware of. So I am pulling up the city's website. Under wichita.gov Police Department, there's an entire list of community liaisons, and I'm going to introduce who's on, and then those who are not here will just give a shout out to the positions that they hold and who they support. Does anyone want to volunteer to go first?
Me and Avendano will go.
Just voluntold Avendano.
Well, good morning. I'm Officer Avendano. I'm partners with Officer Watson in the Juvenile Intervention Unit. So the police department created this unit here recently to address issues involving youth. We have 2 officers, 2 detectives, and a sergeant. Watson, you might want to mute yourself there. There you go. Yeah, we have 2 officers, 2 detectives, and a sergeant that's in the unit. Myself and Officer Watson are doing most of the outreach in the community. Basically, what we do is we coordinate with child welfare groups, schools, treatment providers, youth organizations, just to help and provide all these services to our kids. Our goal is to keep the youth out of the criminal justice system and onto more positive paths, increasing access to all the services that the community offers. We're sort of focusing a little more on the gangs and the at-risk youth to try to keep them from following that path of the street. And then I'll let Watson touch on the organizations that we're partnering with.
Thank you. Officer Watson, like Officer Avendano said, we're Juvenile Intervention Unit. Some of the partners that we've worked with, Rise Up for Youth, McAdams Academy, East High, West High. Officer Avendano is the former West High SRO. So he's still partnering with them pretty closely. Right now, one of the initiatives that we're a part of, Dr. Rhonda Lewis with WSU and Juvenile Corrections are doing a community survey to find out how Sedgwick County can send out money and resources to the community to help with some of these youth and some of these prevention organizations. And so I will actually send that to you, Ms. Camila, the community survey, if you don't already have it. So those who are part of this call can take that survey. Several other organizations, YMCA, the Fresh Connect that they have, where kids can go plug in their computers and do their online schooling, and then also have access to the YMCA. The base program's doing the same thing at the YMCA. City Housing, we did our summer youth employment program. And then those kids who completed the program, we handed out laptops last month. And then a couple other organizations real quick. We partner obviously with Youth Advocacy Coalition and then Juvenile Probation. And then Avendano, talk about our training that we have coming up in a couple weeks.
Yeah, next this coming week, actually, we have a training with USD 259. It's going to be on restorative practice. It's something that West High has been working with and utilizing that at the schools. We have two people there. Jan Peterson's the one that's in charge of it. But they're bringing that to the police department and training some of our community policing officers and SROs. Myself and Officer Watson are going to attend and learn a little bit more on the restorative practices. I'm pretty familiar with it just from being at West High, but it's a way to try to trying to figure out how to word this here. Basically, just trying to avoid taking the kid to jail or having more serious consequences and figuring out the actual root of the problem and solving that problem. We have some sessions where we sit at a table and do a mediation with the students or parents or community members, whoever's involved. And everybody sits down at the table and gets a chance to speak and talk about what's causing the problem in their views, and the other person, we encourage them to listen and try to have a more open mind to figure out what the problem is. So that's just a little part of it, but there's a lot that goes into it. You have anything else that you want to touch on, Watson?
Nope, that's it. Ms. Camila, like I said, I'm going to send you that survey and that you can send out to the community.
Okay, thanks. I think we posted it 2 weeks ago in the District newsletter, but we can reshare it in the link for, I'll try to go find it real quick and put it with this conversation.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. So let's pause. So let's pause a minute to see if anyone from the public has questions or concerns or comments for this presentation on the Juvenile Intervention Unit. I see on Zoom we have about 3 to 4 residents on the call. Feel free to unmute and share or ask questions. Okay, Facebook has a question. Can you give an example of how you partner with community organizations and services? Or she said, never mind, Watson, you answered it. Do you take one-on-one referrals from parents?
Yes, we do. We've taken several referrals. We get referrals from juvenile corrections. Councilman Johnson actually sent a referral last week. We try to meet with those kids in a timely fashion. Sometimes we get really busy. And another example that I'll give out, I think this meeting took place while Councilman Johnson was running for District 1. But we developed as a police department a policy where juveniles who were added to our gang list, their parents would be contacted because some of these parents are not aware of their kids' activities. Some are. And so Officer Abendano and I took on that role of contacting those parents. And we set up what we call intervention meetings. And so we try to do those at least once a month, come up with ideas of for resources, try to figure out what will help steer these kids in the right direction, and then also offer our support because we as officers, you know, me personally growing up, I didn't always do the right thing also. So just trying to build that rapport and give kids resources.
Thank you. Lastly, can both of you share your email addresses out loud for those who might watch this again on Facebook? And if you have a work phone number.
Yeah. So mine is D as in David, Watson, Watson, wichita.gov. And my cell phone number is 316-803-2300.
All right, and my email is javendano@wichita.gov. That's common spelling. Just kidding. It's JAVENDANO@wichita.gov. And then my cell phone number is 316-928-0930.
Thank you. We're gonna move along. Anyone else want to volunteer to go next?
Yeah, I'll go next. Hello, everyone. I'm Officer Paul Cruz, Wichita Police Department. Currently the Hispanic and Latino Community Liaison Officer. I'm also, one of my primary roles is as Public Information Officer as well. Charlie works with me. We're in the information unit, so you might see us doing media briefings about incidents that occur in the community. But one of the unique things about our unit and my position as a liaison officer is that we can work together. So a lot of what I do is going to overlap with what Officer Avendano and Officer Watson are doing. I currently reach out to the Hispanic community on multiple platforms. And one of the things that I'm proud of what we've been able to do here in the police department is that we've been able to develop a roadmap to have that outreach, successful outreach, and build a relationship with their community. We've been doing this, I've been in this position for 4 years. It has not been easy. We've had a lot of tough discussions and honest conversations with our community in their language, in Spanish. I am bilingual, native speaker, son of immigrant parents. I'm a first generation Mexican American. And, you know, it's interesting, that has given me an opportunity to really relate to our community. Because when you look at the demographics of our community, that's really, we have a lot of newcomers, and we also have a lot of first generation. So a lot of the struggles, the fears, the concerns that there are, I've lived as a kid, and growing up in California, and growing up in specifically cities that didn't have the best relationship. So I look back and I take those experiences, and I've been able to really connect with our community on multiple levels. And so the way we do the outreach is we have our Spanish Facebook page, which is Policía de Wichita. We have a Spanish Twitter account. We also have outreach on the radio, on the Spanish radio stations and the Spanish TV stations. For those of you that might not know, there's 2 local Spanish radio stations and then 2 local Spanish TV stations with local content, which means they have local reporters here that work with us. And so we disseminate the information. We partner with a lot of organizations, just like Officer Watson Avendano said. We work with a lot of nonprofits, a lot of youth organizations that we work together hand in hand to do outreach. We do a lot of what I do is niche towards the Hispanic community. So we emphasize on Cinco de Mayo, Dia de los Muertos, which just occurred. We also work with any cultural events, and we just did the domestic violence awareness panel in Spanish. So anything that we put out, about 99% of the information that we disseminate in English, we do it in Spanish. And we do it with the purpose of serving the community, and also continue to let them know that we're here to support and work with them. We address the concerns and issues like immigration, and you know, issues with how to report crime. What happens if I don't have a Spanish-speaking officer? Who do I call? A lot of the basic information we have to disseminate and really educate our public on how they can find the officer that's specific to that situation or that need. So really, I'm proud to say we also have the I think this is the first ever, and I want to say, I'm going to go out on the limb and say that we're the only agency nationwide, but I'm not 100% sure, where we take the Citizens Police Academy and we've basically translated the entire curriculum, and we have all Spanish-speaking officers presenting the information in Spanish. And we've even taken it a step further, where we created an alumni association from that Spanish Citizens Police Academy, or Hispanic Citizens Police Academy. And we created an alumni group. We've already graduated 152. I will say I wasn't the first officer to do this. This started back in the 90s. It just wasn't consistent. But I think altogether we have way over 200 people graduated from that Citizens Police Academy, where we, again, the whole entire program and information is done in Spanish. So that helps us in multiple ways, in having other people help us with projects, having the citizens understand how we work. What do we do? It really explains in depth how the police department works. And for someone, especially our newcomers that don't understand the systems, don't understand the criminal justice system, that don't understand and their only experiences with what they experience in their home country, it really has been very helpful. And we've really seen the support of the community. And so I'm really proud to say that we've done really good work, and the work's not over. There's much, much more to do. But that's one of my role and one of the things that we do with the police department.
Paul, can I ask you to go back, reintroduce yourself, and leave your contact information in Spanish?
In Spanish, yeah. Buenos días, soy el oficial Pablo Cruz, el Departamento de Policía, el portavoz. Estoy aquí para informar a nuestra comunidad sobre la información que estoy haciendo. Yo trabajo como el portavoz y en enlace con la comunidad hispana y el Departamento de Policía. Para aquellos que también me están viendo, ustedes se pueden comunicar conmigo al 268-4605. Pueden mandarme un correo electrónico a pcruz@wichita.gov. Y esa es la manera que me pueden comunicar, o también a través de Facebook, Policía de Wichita, esa es la información. So again, phone number is 316-268-4605. You can contact me there. Email is pcruz, that's C-R-U-Z, as you see on my screen here, at wichita.gov, and that's the way you can get a hold of me.
Awesome, thank you. While questions may come up, there's a 1-minute delay from Zoom to Facebook. So I want to go back and tell Avendaño and Watson that someone asked, could you go back and find out if the restorative justice training could be offered in the community, if there's a way to partner outside of 259 staff being trained? And then we could just follow up in the newsletter or another post later on.
Right now, the plan is, because there's, especially with both the Wichita Police Department and USD 259, it's a lot of people. So right now it's just going to be USD 259 staff, and that's going to include any support staff or other groups that work in the school, like Gear Up, Pando, and just basically anybody that's involved with USD 259 at the schools. And then the police department. I'm not sure if that's going to be offered later to the public, but I would imagine it's going to take quite a bit of time just to get the USD 259 and the police department through that training.
So can you make a note to tell the trainer that some people in the community, as in some of Youth Advocacy Coalition members, are interested in the future?
Yeah.
Thank you. Any questions from our Zoom participants? I'm delaying by going and checking the Facebook page real quick to see if there's any comments or anything in here. All right, we'll move along. Charlie, is there a specific unit you want to address or speak on?
Yeah, I am Officer Charlie Davidson, Wichita Police Department Public Information Officer. I'm actually the Deaf and Hard of Hearing Liaison. And I'll have Lori actually join me in on this conversation. Lori Lawrence was actually very instrumental in the early 2000s in helping us educate our officers in the deaf and hard of hearing. I also want to just start off by saying I got tough acts to follow. Officer Cruz and Officer Watson Avendaño doing a great job in connecting with their community. And also I want to give kudos to Chief Ramsey. When he came in 2016, he has a passion for connecting with our community and relating to our community. And one of the things he did was start developing these liaison positions where officers have either a passion or a special connection to a certain certain part of our community, so that we can bridge gaps and we can develop relationships and develop stronger relationships. I actually grew up knowing sign language actually before I could even speak. My mom was deaf since she was about 1. So I grew up knowing sign language, and I'm fluent in American Sign Language. And so that's the passion I have and the connection I have to the deaf and hard of hearing community. So I got into law enforcement. I've been on for 18 and a half years. And then in the early 2000s, partnered actually with Lori Lawrence, and Captain Darren Moore was at the training academy at that time. And we began developing some curriculum to train our officers just on how to work with deaf and hard of hearing. It can be very difficult. The communication can be very difficult. Even written communication in some instances can be very difficult with somebody that is deaf or hard of hearing. And so we really wanted to make sure that officers gave them the opportunity to be able to speak on what they saw, what they heard, how they felt. And so we began developing curriculum. We trained all our officers in that deaf and hard of hearing training. And then I've continued on to also continue to train other recruit classes on working with deaf and hard of hearing in our community. I can say that we probably, and Lori, help me, correct me if I'm wrong, we probably have 400 to 500, I would say, deaf in Wichita. Is that low?
That is probably low, but it's not like you can see them when they walk down the street.
Yeah, I guess true. And I guess what my point that I'm getting with that is that it tends to be a very close-knit community, a smaller community, close-knit. As a matter of fact, a lot of them have my contact information through word of mouth, and they're able to contact me and reach out to me specifically if there's issues that they have in their neighborhood, or there's issues that have come up where they need to actually speak with somebody who speaks American Sign Language. Also, a lot of the deaf and hard of hearing, I've known this since I was a kid here locally. Not all of them. Most of them are the older individuals that are my mom's age. Sorry, she's not on here, so she can't hear me call her old. But I knew them growing up, so I was able to connect with them as well. One of the biggest things I think for deaf and hard of hearing is just a little bit of relief. You could understand if you were on a police incident or a police case and something had happened to you, or you witnessed something maybe violent or something tragic, and you weren't able to hear what was going on, you weren't able to understand what was going on by listening to others, how frustrating and how nerve-wracking that would be. So for me to arrive on the scene and to start signing to them, it's really a sigh of relief that they have an opportunity to really make sure that they understand what's going on, and that communication is gapped. So we continue to train our officers and teach them about the deaf and hard of hearing in our community. I continue to be a point of contact for deaf and hard of hearing, even through Topeka, working through Kansas, out of Topeka, working with the deaf and hard of hearing as well. So those are a little bit about what I do and how I've worked with our deaf and hard of hearing community. And I have a passion to help serve them in the city of Wichita as well.
I have a question from a Wichita resident,
Okay.
and we share a relative, however that goes. So her sons are 18 to 21, and they had the cochlear implant. So,
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
So hard of hearing.
Yes.
And when COVID hit, her concern was the mask and them being African-American and potentially being pulled over. And how do I remain calm? I have on this mask, tell the officer that I'm hard of hearing. Are there any signs or anything that you could put in your dashboard, but to also not be taken advantage of by the general public? So you don't want your tag number saying I'm deaf, because then someone could be susceptible to unnecessary attention, let me say that. So what would you suggest for parents of young adults who have those situations?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I know there's been some incidents where there's been stickers they could put on the back of their car. There's been tags, but the deaf and hard of hearing, they don't want to be singled out. So those haven't been as popular. I know there is visor cards available. I don't have any right now with me or in my possession, but I could sure get them. But there's visor cards that you can put up in your visor. And then if you are unfortunately stopped by an officer for some sort of traffic infraction, you can pull that visor down and flip it to the side as if you were blocking the sun. And when the officer arrives to the car, he can see that visor card that then describes, I'm a deaf and hard of hearing individual. It describes different things that are going on so that they are aware of the situation that they're facing right then and there. And why there may be some communication barriers with mask and things like that. So there is some things available, and I would suggest having or getting a visor card. And I'll give you my email. It's C as in Charlie Davidson, DAVIDSON @wichita.gov. Email me, and I will work to get you a visor card.
Do you have to register to get the visor card, or can you just pick up 5 and give them out in the community?
Yeah, I don't believe there's any registration. Lori, do you know? I don't believe there's any registration. I think you can pick those up.
Initially, there was, just because they didn't want anybody and everybody getting them that weren't deaf or hard of hearing. Assuming the ones you're getting come from Topeka and KCDOJ.
Yes.
I don't even know if they're still out there yet anymore, but they did used to have to give them their name and info. I'm not sure where that stands right now. I haven't heard anything about them in a long time, but they can be extremely helpful.
Yeah, and
so Charlie, this parent comes to Atwater a lot. I'll connect us in an email together because, like I said, they're young adults and they're, like you said, a close-knit community. So I know there's maybe 10 to 15 of them who would need that card right now.
yeah, and I will I'll work on making sure they're not registered or whatever. And I also have attended WAD meetings, the Wichita Association for the Deaf meeting. So perhaps if there's that many that need them, perhaps it's time that I come and take a visit to the WAD. I don't know if they're meeting with COVID right now, but that could be an opportunity as well that I could meet and discuss it.
They are. It's just there's not very many who come just because of COVID.
Sure.
I think the other concern is to bring up how some people were creating masks that had the lips were clear, but the outer was cloth.
Yes.
Do you know a connection for that in Wichita? I know we're not supposed to plug people, but hey, if it's a business or someone, making them, we need to give that shout out now.
Sure. I don't know of anybody locally in Wichita that was making them and providing them. I did post on the Wichita Police Department Facebook page, about masks that were being provided through the state of Kansas through a grant for deaf and hard of hearing that had the clear front and then the cloth around the edges to help those that are deaf or hard of hearing to communicate better. Because obviously they look at lips, they look at facial expressions when you're discussing with somebody to try to understand the context of what you're saying. There's also face shields that you can purchase. Those can be purchased at Sam's. I know my wife was at Sam's yesterday and had the opportunity, and they're like they look like glasses, but they have a full face shield and they're clear. That's an option as well during this unfortunate pandemic. In this, Ms. Camila, in this email chain, I will also provide the link to the program that's providing those masks through the state of Kansas.
Appreciate it. Want to go back, Paul Cruz, real quick on Facebook. How has the police department teamed up when events needed Spanish-speaking officers? The question was, do you provide police services free of charge for the Hispanic community, or is it more assigning a Hispanic officer to work certain events?
Yeah, whenever there's events, typically what happens is we will have an officer there. We'll try to make an effort to, and typically whenever there is an event where there's an emphasis to our Spanish-speaking community, I tend to be there myself most of the times, or another officer will try to make it. But there's no charge. If there's an event that you are planning ahead of time and you want us to be there to help have a presence, we'd be happy to be there. Just communicate with us or give me a call, 268-4605. It's my
And
office number.
Let me stop and ask, this is the difference between translating and security. How do you define that?
So security would just be a need of security. Like if you're having a concert or an event and you just need officers for security purposes. Now, if the concert or the event is going to have a lot of Spanish speakers and you prefer to have a bilingual officers, you can always make that request. I don't know that we always have an officer available for that, but if it's for you wanting a presence of a Spanish speaking officer to participate in the event, we can always participate.
Thank you.
Ms. Camila, could I add real quick one thing?
Go for it.
Yeah, I also, Officer David Inkelar and Officer Biagini could not be on this morning, but they sent me just a little bit of information. And I just wanted to share that we also do have autism officers that liaison with our autism community. Some of the things they're doing is connecting families to Heart Springs Rainbows. They're also helping adults get connected with resources and helping educate officers that work in areas where maybe an autistic child or autistic adult lives. So we do also have autism awareness liaison officer. So I just wanted to share that briefly. They unfortunately couldn't be on this morning, but sent a few things to me. So I can give you their emails if you would like their email. David Inkelar is D as in David, INKELAAR at wichita.gov, or John Biagini. Let me get that spelling real quick. It's JBIAGINI at wichita.gov. So if you happen to be a community person or know somebody in the community that has an autistic family member and would like maybe to connect on resources or something like that, feel free to reach out to one of those two and they can help you, give you some direction on how they might be able to help you.
Thank you. After Officer Hook presents, I'm going to share the screen for your Facebook page and we'll go over any liaison that wasn't present and you guys can kind of share what you know or don't know about their position as a whole.
That's perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Officer Hook.
Yes, good morning. I am James Hook. I'm actually a detective currently with the police department. And let's see, I'd say 2016. Yes, 2016, I believe, is when kind of started the mental health liaison position for the department. And I kind of took the reins of that from the beginning and just kind of ran with it. So I do several things in regards to that. Mental health calls are one of the things that we respond to quite frequently. And it's one of those things where when somebody's in crisis, it makes communication difficult. It makes reasoning difficult. Everybody that I've talked to, they all kind of have that one bad law enforcement encounter where they may be in crisis, it may not be recognized, it may seem aggressive. So they kind of all have that bad encounter. They're not real fond of police, or at best they have kind of a apprehension of police involvement. Everybody's heard stories that may not have had the best outcomes. So one of the things that I worked on initially was trying to partner with some of the different mental health organizations like NAMI Wichita, which is the National Alliance on Mental Illness, working with ComCare here locally, We have a Sedgwick County Suicide Prevention Coalition that's a partnership of multiple organizations. You have the Mental Health Association. There's numerous mental health associations and the intellectually disabled crowd as well. They kind of all play into that. So I wanted to get involved with them and show up to different events in uniform, sit down kind of one-on-one with a lot of people. And first thing was to help provide some positive police interaction, to try and help lessen the anxiety, because for somebody who's already either in crisis or going into crisis, and then you throw on the anxiety of the potential police involvement, if we could do something to help kind of lessen that a little bit for them going forward, it just helps the overall situation. The other piece that I work with is not only kind of working with the community side, it's also taking some of that community involvement and then bringing it back to the department. So I work with our officers and mental health training. I bring a lot of the information back to them to help provide them some understanding, different tactics and approaches for individuals who may be experiencing a mental health crisis. I work with our crisis intervention team, the CIT training that Sedgwick County puts on for all first responders. So I assist in training that program, which is a 40-hour training block that it goes very in depth to mental health, dealing with crisis, understanding some of the different diagnosis, what to look for, better approaches, ways to help de-escalate a situation. And so over the years, the partnerships have grown. I've worked on trying to help put out helpful information to both the public, to law enforcement in general, bringing in speakers and presenters to help provide good training for law enforcement, as well as stuff that I've done on my own, and just try and help kind of break down that stigma that's traditionally surrounded mental health and suicide awareness, just to get people talking about it and understanding that, you know, it's just a part, like diabetes, high blood pressure, any other disease that a person will have. This one just happens to affect the brain, and can be a little more involved to manage than some of those others.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
In the past, I've told everyone when they call 911 with a mental health emergency to ask for a sheriff's deputy, because they've all had the 40-hour training that you spoke of. All of them have. How many police officers have had that? How do they access those officers to come?
So I don't believe that's 100% accurate with them all being CIT trained. So I know your Sedgwick County deputies, and because I work a lot with them, and I know the Wichita Police Department all have some mental health training, whether it's mental health first aid, or a variant of that. So all of our officers get that training in the academy. I know all of the sheriff's deputies get that training in the academy coming out. The CIT training, the 40-hour block, we're roughly 25% of the department. So right around a couple hundred. So we've got, it's a little bit more than that. I don't have the exact number off the top of my head because it does fluctuate. So it's a voluntary training that we put on, not just for our department in Sedgwick County, but it's open to all first responders. So we've had paramedics, we've had firefighters, we've had officers from different agencies in Sedgwick County as well as outside of Sedgwick County that'll come for that training. So when you do call 911, you can request for CIT. And if we have a CIT officer available, they'll respond. Sometimes it's not always the case, but that's why we provide them with the mandatory training for the mental health first aid, a lot of de-escalation, interpersonal communication. We provide a lot of that mandatory training. So it kind of helps bridge the gap a little bit between those two different programs. One of the things we were also able to put in place last year was the Integrated Care Team, or ICT-1. That was a partnership between us, ComCare, and Sedgwick County with the paramedics and the EMS personnel to be able to provide social worker, EMS, and an officer on scene to make those calls. So as that program's been gaining popularity and traction, we've seen a huge benefit from that. So that's something else too, is if you call in and you're experiencing crisis or a loved one's experiencing crisis, you can request ICT-1. If they're available, they can respond as well.
Can I come in and play a community advocate here? This is not Camila, the employee.
Of course.
Why is it voluntary to take the training, and why aren't all officers mandated to take that training?
That is a good question. So one of the things that the CIT Council works on is developing the partnerships, reviewing the training, and putting together the curriculum and the program for the 40 hours. That's something that we've talked about with other agencies, because there are some that in the academy, they get the 40-hour training block and it's mandatory, and then they're kicked loose and out on their own. As a council, I know me personally, when recruits are going through that kind of training, they're getting so much information and so much stuff kind of fed to them through a fire hose that remembering a lot of the stuff that they're getting taught in CIT is kind of in one air, available for a test, and then it's kind of out the window. They're trying to process so much.
But
So
stop there and say, is it possible for once an officer is officially on the force and makes it through training to then go back and do CIT? I've been on the streets for a month or two.
yes, so that's one of the things that we're looking at and we're exploring with the CIT. There's the kind of two schools of thoughts. As you gain a little bit of experience, you get comfortable developing your communication as an officer, then going through the CIT training can be extremely beneficial. It helps develop different tools, different ideas and approaches. One of the reasons why we like voluntary is because they're much more open to learning a lot of that. We have a lot of people that come through the training that get told, and they do learn a lot as far as the approach and understanding. Unfortunately, there is a lot involved with CIT, and if someone's not 100% open or susceptible to some of it, you still get a lot of good information, but you know, some of the interpersonal communication stuff people still struggle with. It's kind of like hostage negotiation. You get some that are really good with communicating, and you know, they can carry on those kind of conversations and deal with those situations a lot better than others. So that's kind of that other side of the coin as to why it's not mandatory. It's been discussed in the past. It's just something that just hasn't been put forward yet. It takes a lot of time, 40 hours training, taking officers out for a week, especially traditionally in the past where we've been short-staffed. It does take a lot of coordination, a lot of effort to get officers through. Another kind of restraint to that is currently we only put on one class a year for Sedgwick County, and it's restricted to about 30, maybe 40 tops per class. So that's to cover Wichita, Sedgwick County, jail detention deputies, all the other agencies around. So just getting the resources put together to put on additional classes can be tough. So it's managing space for everybody, bringing everybody in, because it's not just one or two people that do this training. So we partner with multiple organizations. So you have 20, 30, 40 speakers that are coming in, all experts in their related topic, whether it's people with ComCare, programs with Catch and Starkey coming in. We bring in panels. So we've got individuals that are family members that share their experience, as well as individuals that live with mental illness will come in and talk about their experiences with law enforcement. We have the IDD crowd that'll come in. So we get some people from Catch or Starkey that'll come in, kind of share some of the differences with the intellectually disabled versus some of the mental health concerns to provide. So there's a lot of different coordination that goes in. So the practicality of trying to put in multiple trainings in a year can be rough to help fill the spots to get everybody up. But we
Can I stop there
consistent.
and say, I'm
Oh.
gonna stop you there and say, thank you for that explanation. We gotta
Yeah.
move forward, but yeah,
Gotcha.
I just
Can-
know sooner or later, someone's going to challenge that in our community, that there should definitely be more than one training.
Yeah.
Because mental health is so serious in our community. The
Mi-
numbers have increased when it comes to COVID and other issues across Wichita. I won't even say the world. I'm gonna say across Wichita, we know that more support is needed in the mental health community. Charlie, you want to say something?
Yeah, Ms. Camila, could I add to that? Because myself and Officer Watson are actually mental health first aid instructors. And so all of our officers have received either crisis intervention team training or mental health first aid training. So they all are mandated mental health training currently. And it's not just an 8-hour class. It's not just one day out of the 23 weeks that they get mental health training. There's scenarios they go through. They go through mental health first aid training. They have many hours of mental health training currently. I can also say that after this last class, or this class that's going through right now, I actually talked to our trainers and said, how can we make more robust our mental health training? Because a lot of the calls we make deal with mental health. It's increasing ever more since I came on 18 and a half years ago. I can also say that a large majority of our jail population suffers from some type of mental health. Depression and anxiety are probably the two most common that we face. Research says 1 in 5 people have been diagnosed with a mental health illness. So a lot of individuals we work with on the street, in our communities, have mental health in our families. And that's something that Officer Watson and I found, that not only does this apply to the community we work with, but man, it applies to the officers we work next to as well. So is there a possibility of doing crisis intervention team training? There certainly is. And I know those talks are going on, and we just want to make sure through the training that we give the most adequate training that we can to prepare our officers to adequately face each situation that they have. So there is talks about how do we better robust our mental health training, but there is a lot of mental health training going on right now. As I said, all officers are either CIT or mental health first aid trained, and we're continuing to see what are the best practices across the nation. How can we improve? And that's in mental health. That's in any area of the police department. We're always looking for ways to improve. So I think that's one reason why we're on here today. If somebody has ideas or would like to share those ideas, we're all ears. Send them to us. We're happy to listen and take recommendations and see how we can improve ourselves as a Wichita Police Department. Also want to just plug our website, wichitapolice.com. If you look at the top tab, there's one of them that says community services. On that, it talks a lot about what we're talking about today: mental health first aid, our community liaisons, our reserve program. The ICT-1 has a very robust page there. It talks about statistics. It talks about how they were formed. It talks about what they do. And this has been a great program. So I want to encourage everybody listening today or that watches this later on Facebook, go to that wichitapolice.com, look at those community service tab, and read through that to gain more knowledge about all the resources that we have developed in just the last few years. Thanks. I won't take any more time. I know we got just a little bit of time here.
That's a great plug. I'm gonna go over and share my screen while we wait to see if any more comments go up. And I'm sharing. Let's see. Charlie, talk me through this. Can you see my screen too with
Yeah, I can see your screen. Yep.
Screen. So you just see that one?
Yeah, I just see your screen, and then I see the people that are speaking on the right. But yeah, at the top there, you see wichitapolice.com. You see the community service tabs. If you click on that, Camila, you can see all the different things. The response to the community actually was a document we developed after the death of George Floyd. There was a lot of questions and things that individuals had asked us. So we provided a quick sheet, and then also some more robust type information about things that we're doing as a Wichita Police Department. So there's that information there. The community support specialist, yeah, I should have had them on today as well. But they are embedded social workers within the Wichita Police Department. They are civilian staff, but they work hand in hand with our officers in finding families that need resources and helping those families with those resources. A great addition to the Wichita Police Department. You can see a video there to talk a little about what they do. Here's ICT-1. This is the integrated care team. Some photos there. It's a paramedic, a therapist, and police officer that ride in that ICT-1 vehicle each and every day, and they answer mental health calls. Very robust program. They're working at not just taking them to jail, but providing them the resources or direction they need to go. The Citizens Review Board is something that was developed in the last few years. The review board has the opportunity to review each and every police professional standards or professional standards cases, and they're able to review those once they're completed through their investigation. We have a reserve program. If you're interested in volunteering and being part of the reserve program, there's information there as well, where you can sign up and learn more about the police department. And then the accessible parking program is actually a parking program where citizens can actually apply and go through a training process and actually help us with handicap parking. If there's violations they see, they can photograph those violations, send them to us, and we can actually cite individuals for parking and handicap parking, which can be problematic. And then the community liaisons is why we're here today. So you can see the autism liaisons. Their emails are on there as well, phone numbers. We just have started a blind and visually impaired liaison. This just started probably the last 3 to 4 weeks ago. So that's just getting kicked off the ground, but trying to help the community and that are blind and visually impaired. You can see myself, the deaf and hard of hearing. Officer Paul Cruz makes fun of me and says that's my senior photo, but that's a photo I had taken downtown in my uniform. So you can see that there, my phone number and my emails. And then if you want to go on down, Camila, we have a homeless outreach team liaison. We actually have a homeless outreach team. Sergeant Dave Neinstead is in charge of that unit, so he's a great resource. We also have the LGBTQ liaison. Sergeant Vanessa Rusco is able to assist with that community if there's any questions or anything that comes up. Our Detective James Hook, you can see he was talking about mental health liaison. Then we have the Middle Eastern Culture liaison, Sergeant Hassam Shorbaji. Unfortunately, he was going to try to be on, but couldn't this morning. And he's able to work with the Middle Eastern culture in Wichita and provide resources, and is a great connection with the police department and them as well. Oh, and then I guess Paul Cruz, you're at the bottom. I made sure you were at the bottom. Just joking, Paul. But that Paul there is the Hispanic community liaison as well.
Well, it's okay because they don't have Avendaño or Watson on here. They totally got it.
That's right. You know, I need to add, you know what? I'm going to write that down to add them. So I need to do that. Thank you, Camila.
Just so you know, Charlie's in charge of the website. So if they're not on there, it's Charlie's fault.
That's right.
That's exactly why I said that. So we are at the 10:30 mark. I'm not going to prolong this, but I'm going to just kind of shoot the breeze for a second because of the delay from Zoom to Facebook. So on Zoom, hi, Miss Lori, Miss Vivian. I see Kirk Anderson, Lonnie Wright, and you guys have any questions, concerns? And someone who's titled Wichita Neighbor. Any comments? Was this helpful information?
This was a really, really good program. Thank you for organizing that, Camila. Thank you all for being here, all you officers. I appreciated being able to learn about all your different areas that you work with. Let me put a plug in. I used to serve on the Wichita-Sedgwick County Access Advisory Board. There's a huge need for people to sign up to help with photographing people who are illegally parked in accessible, which is the word that we use now instead of handicap parking. Please, if you have the time and if you have the ability, please do sign up for that. And I appreciate knowing that all these officers are available. That's amazing. Tell me what to do about graffiti. I have an email address, but it doesn't normally get me any response.
I would say get with your community policing officer. I was on community policing, and so we work hand in hand with the city to remove graffiti. So if you don't know who your community policing officer is, if you know which patrol bureau you're in, give them a call and get a hold of your community policing officer. That to me would be the best way.
I would like to add also, Lori knows who they are, but I would send a group email, your neighborhood inspector, your CP officer, and myself, because then we can see any trends. And if there's ongoing issues with the same area or property.
Hey, Camila, can you click on field services there on our website? I just want to, there's also a link there that says community policing. If you click on that one, it pops up an interactive map. So let's just say you don't know where you live. Let's just say you live at 2100 North Holyoke, and you're like, well, what beat am I on? Camila, just if you want to put that address in there, whatever, yeah, just any address is fine.
I'm going to use Atwater real quick.
Okay, use Atwater. And it'll come up, okay, Atwater's on 44 beat. So you put your address in, it tells you what beat and what bureau you're in. So you scroll down to Patrol North, 44 beat is going to be Officer Aaron Stark, and you can email him. So that's just a landing page for our community policing so that you're able to find out who that officer is to talk about that graffiti very quickly. So I just wanted to point that out as well this morning. Thank you.
You know what? This is a hidden resource that I forget to share with people. I'm going to add it to the next newsletter. I think it's also cool because when things happen on the weekend and you want to send to all shifts, sometimes I email all the officers at the same time. Hey, heads up, here's a situation in your beat.
Exactly.
Kirk,
Hey, Miss.
great job in the chat, you guys.
Thank you. And Miss Camila, I wanted to point out for everybody on all the citizens, we do have a lot of great programs, but our number one goal for the police department is patrol. A lot of our officers are 911 driven. And so if you guys do have community events, please give us a heads up. A couple weeks is great, or at least a week. And there's going to be some times we're not available. And please don't be frustrated by that, because a lot of our officers do have families, and we do like to enjoy our weekends too. So I'm sure there'll be some questions about that. I just wanted to get in front of that.
Okay, I had to unmute myself. I got too many screens going on. Miss Vivian, you have anything? You're unmuted.
Did you say something to me?
Yes, would you like to say anything or have any questions?
I don't have any questions, but I think I knew that these programs were there, but I haven't really figured out how you coordinate the information. And that's really good stuff. Might be able to put some of that in our newsletter, our next one. I think it's important stuff, information and coordination that we need for any community. And I've always had enormous respect for our community police officers. So if the police generally can lead us to, if we ever have need of dealing with the kind of people that you were talking about, the autistic or mental health issues, it's really a terrific program. And I don't know if every other city has exactly the same, but it seems to be very good here. And I do know somebody who has, with a child who goes off her head occasionally, who's had to call the police in to deal with it. And they are wonderful. I mean, the NAMI group that come, anyway. No, that's all I have to say. And I'm listening. And we know who our police officer is and which beat we are. So, and he's always at our meetings. So we feel covered. We feel that we have somebody looking out for us.
It's great to see your face, Miss Vivian.
It's great to hear your voice, or I haven't seen your face yet, but.
I'm waving now, can you see?
Yes, I think so. Anyway, I had a little trouble getting on. I need to get onto that Zoom device, the little, icon, before I start typing things in. I've got it now. I've got it. So,
great.
But I had time to eat my breakfast while I was getting on. So,
thank you for being dedicated citizen and resident in District 1. We want to also highlight the community crime map. I'm gonna try to copy and paste it. I don't think I can copy and paste it real quick. Over kind of to show people who have concerns about statistics and things going on. Let me know if y'all can see this on the screen. This is my first time trying to copy and paste.
Yeah, we can see it.
So what's so this is kind of the alert. What's the best way to use this?
wow, make it smaller.
So if you want to zoom in into the state of Kansas all the way to the city of Wichita on the interactive map, and you'll start to, or just go straight to Wichita, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I'm scared to type in the address, but I am.
If you want to use 455 North Main.
Oh, I'm doing Atwater. I'm just saying the numbers that's gonna pop up over here. So I typed in Atwater's address, and I hit go to address, but I got to put Wichita, Kansas. Didn't do much, but here we are. This is where. So what would you, so here's a crime that took place recently. Is that basically what it's showing?
So I'll show you just, it's just a good way to keep up to speed on any type of crime or incidents. If you go to the date range on the tab to the left underneath of where you put you can put in whatever date range you're looking at. If you look at the events tab underneath that, you can also highlight whatever categories you want to look at. That's just to keep yourself up to speed on what's going on in your neighborhood. If you have any questions, this also is a way to, if you thought you saw a police presence or you want to know what's going on, or you heard that there was an incident recently, you can always go to this. This is up to date and it's updated every 24 hours. And it's just a good resource for information. And it also has an offenders list that you can highlight. And then it gives you analytics and just real useful information.
So under analytics, what do people use this for? Just for kind of the data part?
Sure. So once you highlight a certain area, you can actually buffer it to where you can have a half a mile, 1 mile, 2 mile radius. But it shows you basically all the hotspots of where you're seeing crime within the date range that you have selected. So if you want to see it by color, as far as where you can identify clusters of crime trends and identify hotspots, you can do that based on dates and categories that you select. So if there's, say, a lot of break-ins into vehicles, larceny to autos, you can highlight that specific category and see what kind of crime trends you see. And this just helps you keep up to speed, up to date on what's going on.
When it shows assault, does that include domestic violence? Because that's most of what our assaults are here.
I believe so. I will have to double check.
We have very little crime in Uptown neighborhood. Officer Malloy is our CP. But,
And you can always verify with your community policing officer as well.
yeah, he does give us a report each month, even though he's not always able to make it.
I'm pretty sure you can click on each of the little squares that are there, and it should tell you what that actual crime was. So if it's domestic violence, it'll specify on there with a little DV tab. So, but for your assaults and your batteries, it should have all that information on there.
Yeah.
Okay, I am going to do one last look on our Facebook page for questions, concerns, comments, and then we are going to sign off. Someone said this is great information. I really thought there was a lot more training available so we can see where we need to focus our resources. What have other departments that have robust mental health training done was a question on there. And we can always follow up later because I know who asked these questions. I'll get some clarity on what she meant by other departments, by other police departments or departments outside of WPD is what I'll ask her.
I'll say that we do have very robust mental health training right now, either crisis intervention team training or mental health first aid. We obviously look at what other police departments are doing across the nation. I don't have all those details right now. A lot of our training officers will, but we're always looking at where we can improve, and that's in mental health or any type of training that we have. So we do currently have robust mental health training with CIT, mental health first aid, also scenario-based training. There's all kinds of different training that the officers go through to learn signs and symptoms of mental health, how to communicate with somebody struggling with a mental health crisis, and different resources available for the mental health. And what I was referring to earlier was just, we're always looking at, what is there anything that we can do different? Is there anything we can do to be more robust than we already are as well? And that's why I asked if anybody has anything, they can always provide that information to us. Go ahead, Hook. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump in front of you.
Oh, you're good. You covered some of the same stuff I was. I just realized that I did not give my email earlier. And if anybody has any questions or concerns specifically with mental health, looking for other resources maybe within the community to be connected to, my email is jhook@wichita.gov. That's JHOOK@wichita.gov. So please feel free to reach out to me. And like Charlie said, within Sedgwick County, within the Wichita Police Department, our mental health training is pretty good. We do a lot of different trainings. I think we're ahead of several areas across the United States. And it's something that we're constantly looking at and trying to figure out, can we make it better? Can we add something? Can we make something more efficient? Is there a better way to teach the material? So we're constantly reviewing a lot of that.
Well, I thank everyone for their time. we are going to officially end this District 1 breakfast. If you can hear us, Councilmember Johnson, I'm not sure if the kids are in the background, if you want to say something in the chat or out loud.
Oh, I hear you. Just appreciate you all participating in the breakfast this morning. Lots of great information. Seen a lot of good feedback from the community. So thank you all, and hope you all have a good weekend.
All right, thanks again. We are signing off our first all virtual District 1 breakfast. Thank you.